This is Learn from Others, where we interview a cross-section of successful individuals so you can learn from their experiences, achievements, and even their mistakes. We ask 4 questions that will educate and inspire. Greg Stanley will be your guide as we join our guest on a journey from adolescent daydreaming to success in today's world. Join us on this adventure as we learn from others together.
Welcome to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. I'm excited to introduce our special guest, Candice Jones. Candice, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. And before you tell us what you're actually doing today, if you would, could you please tell me, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was young, I had really bad asthma, and I played sports. And along with learning how to take my inhalers correctly.
That's why I say it doesn't sound like a good combination.
I always picture, I was born with an inhaler in my mouth already. But I actually started to notice that there were certain foods that could affect how well I would breathe.
Wow.
And so at a pretty young age, I'd say like 5th grade, 10, 11 years old, I started to become really interested in food and overall the nutrition. And so I went to my uncle, who's a pediatrician, and I said, hey, I think I want to become a pediatrician, a physician. I really like nutrition. I like food. And he said, at that time, well, we don't have any nutrition courses. And for becoming a doctor, I said, okay, well, what does? And I had to do a little bit of research, and I found out about dietetics. And for the longest time, dietetics, especially in the military, when it was first created, you were in the kitchen. And actually, that's why I'm wearing my chef uniform right now. But it was actually designed to help soldiers heal faster and help prevent infection, is how foods were being prepared. And that's exactly what I wanted to go into.
So how old were you at this point that you wanted to do that?
I was still playing sports very competitively, so I'd say 14,
Wow,
15.
That's early to have such a goal.
Dietetics is actually more of a second or third or fourth choice. A lot of my students at Cincinnati State are, I'd say, at least late 20s. My oldest student was 60.
Wow, okay. That's
after
respectable.
many different career paths.
So as a little kid, you wanted to be a dietitian?
I knew I wanted to go into nutrition.
Okay.
And once I found out that I could not do it as a physician back then, I found out about dietetics. Being in a military family, an Army family, one of my aunt's neighbors happened to be a dietitian for Walter Reed Hospital in D.C., so that was my introduction.
Okay, so we kind of alluded to it. What do you do today?
I am a registered dietitian, licensed dietitian, certified diabetes educator, but most importantly, program chair of the dietetic programs at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College. And then I will also occasionally work for the Christ Hospital Diabetes and Endocrine Center as the certified diabetes educator.
Okay. Take us from that moment of realizing you wanted to do something from a dietitian role to what you do today. So how did you get there?
I started off, I was actually recruited to play softball and played tennis instead at the University of Connecticut, my backup sport.
Okay.
And one of the girls that was on the team with me was actually in a dietetic program. I started in the nutritional sciences program at UConn, and then after I completed my bachelor's, in order to become a registered dietitian, you have kind of like a residency. It's an internship, an unpaid, I like to stress that, internship that I had to apply for, and then I have to match. So I have to be on their list of candidates that they want, and they have to be on mine.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I actually ended up matching back at the University of Connecticut, completed my internship, and I started looking into master's programs while I was preparing for my dietetic exam. Mm-hmm. I got a call from University of Cincinnati saying, hey, they'd love to have me as a grad student, and there was a teaching assistant component, which meant money, so I came on out here. And while working on my master's, I passed my RD exam.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So pretty straight line for your career.
For the most part, if I'm going from passing the exam to actually then working as a dietitian, while I was working on my master's, I proposed my thesis to the Christ Hospital Diabetes Center. At that time, it was very small. And they really liked me. They did not necessarily like my thesis. That summer, I got a phone call. So I had to have left a positive impression, stating that they were looking for a part-time dietitian. And at that time, I made the decision to leave or put my education on hold to go work in a specialized area, brand new dietitian, as in a specialized area such as diabetes. But then I was able to work on my thesis within the diabetes center.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Completed my master's in 2011. The winter before, completed my certified diabetes educator position. Worked with Christ Hospital solely as a full-time dietitian, diabetes educator, until 2015, which I've always wanted to teach. I teach classes at Christ Hospital. I really wanted to work with students. I got the opportunity to apply for a faculty position that then turned into a program chair position mid-interview.
Wow,
and that's
really?
where I am. So I kind of go back and forth. Primarily, I am the program chair at Cincinnati State, and then over my summers and winter break, if I have one, I stay current in my practice as a clinician working with the Christ Hospital Diabetes and Endocrine Center.
So did you change your thesis after you got the first read that it wasn't liked?
Not the topic. I wanted to create my own culturally competent diabetes program and then compare it to the current program. And that was just way too overzealous. For just a thesis. That was a dissertation.
Right.
So instead, I created a pre-test, post-test assessing the knowledge and attitude levels of newly diagnosed type 2 patients with diabetes, essentially, but more importantly, looking at racial differences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that was well received, I take it?
It was very well received. I created the pre-test, post-test for the diabetes program. We had great results, and across the board, it also showed that the diabetes program at Christ Hospital was across the board very successful in both areas of helping to lower blood sugars.
Oh, wow, that's great. Well, now, what is your
knowledge is power?
That's right. Well, what is your typical work week like?
Typical work week, if it's during the school year, I teach anywhere from 4 to 5 different classes. I am over directed practices, which can occur at Mercy Health on the west side, or Otterbein Senior Living up near Monroe or Lebanon. And then also I have actually 3 programs I'm over. The Dietetic Technician Program, the Pre-Nutrition Science Program. Both of those are associate degrees that can transfer to any 4-year institution to continue on to become a registered dietitian, essentially. And then a Certified Dietary Management Program or certificate for those that are interested in food service. But again, from that management standpoint, can work in schools or hospitals, long-term care facilities. So organizing, coordinating all of those sites, those directed practice sites, or the preceptors at those sites, a lot of coordination.
No, it sounds like it.
It's kind of like I'm the boss a little bit.
So you're on site, sometimes teaching.
Yes,
sometimes you're going
teaching.
off-site, a couple different places, checking things out, depending on what's going on. Okay.
And then over my summer, or for example, winter break, or maybe like Thanksgiving break, is when I go back into practice as needed to help out.
So you're all over the place.
I am
Plenty
all
of stuff to do.
over the place.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, looking back on your career, is there anything you would do differently?
I think the only thing I would do differently is it was very difficult moving out here on my own, and I didn't do the best research of, from an affordability standpoint, apartments. And I lived in the brand spanking new apartments on Calhoun, the University Park apartments, and those were very, very expensive. And so that kind of tapped into my financial aid. So
put you behind the 8 ball a little
it
bit.
really, for a degree that requires, and in 2024 will require a master's level, you're looking at about 6 years of education. Being very wise about how to use your financial aid, I would go back and I would change that.
Right, mix it up. Yeah, maybe not as nice of a place.
Correct, brand new. They just threw them up. I eventually moved to the west side where it was more affordable. Yeah.
Now let's talk to the students. One that would like to do what you do. What advice would you give them? What's the typical career path?
Dietetics is everywhere. One of my friends is the dietitian for the Reds. Ran into the dietitian for the Bengals. You can work in hospitals. You can work in school systems. You can work in long-term care. You can work everywhere. It's more about what you really like, what you're really interested in. So for me, I'm really interested in teaching. I'm really interested in diabetes. So those are the areas of nutrition that I like to go into. There's also nutrition psychology. So once you figure out your niche, and in all honesty, it probably won't be until you get to college that you're more aware of the different opportunities. Right. Talk to your instructors, talk to your professors. They have so many different contacts that could help you figure out where you want to go, what you want to do, where you want to work. Networking is key, but as a program chair, we don't know what you want to do until you tell us. Right. And then we can point you in the direction. We can be a compass for you.
Right. Okay. No, that's great advice. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for taking us on your career journey today.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. Where will our next adventure take us? Subscribe to find out. If you know of someone who has a cool career story or occupation, contact Greg through Instagram at Greg Stanley LFO. That's GregStanley LFO. And we will see you soon as we learn from others together.